Peace was good. It's Hip Hop Album Review Part 16. Without further ado, here's the first album. First album for today is Slim Shady's LP, Eminem by Eminem, released in 1999. You guys should know who Slim Shady Eminem is. I'm not gonna get to his whole biography. If you wanna know who he is, go on Wikipedia and check it out. But anyways, this is his second album. In a nutshell, classic album, must have a collection. Singles his album was known for is My Name Is, of course, Role Model, and Guilty Conscious, and Just Don't Give a Fuck, which is 4 singles actually. Definitely a must have. To me, this is Eminem in his prime, in my opinion, because, like, you know, at the time he was using a lot of multi-syllables, and he was funny, you know what I mean? And he was clever with his wordplay, his witty, you know what I mean? Unlike today, like, in my opinion, I think he's not the same. Like, he's just got mad emo. He just became more emo. He definitely got more mature over the years, but then it's like his albums, like, I don't know, his albums weren't the same. They weren't Eminem in his prime, in my opinion. It just wasn't the Eminem that I liked back in the day. You know what I mean? But this is Eminem releasing Slim Shady LP, released in 1999. Must have in your collection. Then you got Eminem's second album, Marshmallow's LP, released in 2000. Singles his album was known for is Stan, The Way I Am, what else? The Real Slim Shady, and I believe that's it. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. And Kim, but Kim was like more of a, wasn't really a single, but it was like the most notable song. And the reason being is because that song Kim that whole album gained a lot of controversy, you know, because it says like a lot of cursing and all that. But what album doesn't have that? But they were saying like there was a lot of homophobic lyrics, violence against women, particularly the song Kim, where he talks about pretty much killing his baby moms and shit like that. You know, he had problems with her, you know, shit that they were going through at the time and things like that, stuff like that. And then he got sued by his mom because he talked about hitting his mom with a shovel and all that shit, all that crazy shit. Definitely must have in your collection. Excuse me. To me, the first 3 albums, Infinite, Slim Shady LP, and Marshmallow's LP, is the only albums that I will have in my collection. I wasn't a big, I mean, the Eminem shit was okay. It's cool, but in that album, I kind of started seeing Eminem kind of like his spark was kind of dwindling down. That's just my opinion. And then he came out with that song. They came out with the Encore album, which I was not a big fan of. The only song on that album I liked was Mosh, which had like a more political tone to it. The beat is ill. But this is Marshmallow's LP, released in 2000. Definitely a must-have in your collection. This time was like more darker than his first album and stuff like that. Next album is Erick Sermon's Double or Nothing, released in 1995. Nothing to it. This album has like a more, it's like, it has like a more darker feel to it. Even the first album was dark, but like this album was like, it has like a more night feel to it, you know what I mean? The beats are like more melodic, but it's still boom bap at the same time, you know what I mean? Just pretty solid album, must have in your collection. Singles his album was known for, he only had 2 singles, which is Bomb Diggy. They also have a remix with Tommy Gunn, God rest his soul, LA artist that was affiliated with Erick Sermon. He passed, he got killed in a gunfight, unfortunately. Anyways, and the next single was Welcome, which features Erick Sermon and Kool Keith and Alfonso Hunter, who was a singer affiliated with Def Squad with Erick Sermon. Definitely a dope artist, very underrated. He has an album called The Blacker the Berry that came out in 1996. Definitely a must-have in your collection. Definitely, I love this album. Must-have in your collection. Released in 1995, and it's sad because I just looked up some of his albums, and like most of his albums in his discography are out of print, which is sad because you would think Erick Sermon, if somebody of his stature would have all of his albums on the shelves, but unfortunately they're out of print, especially like the early albums. Next album is Erick Sermon's compilation album, Insomnia, released in 1986. This is actually one of my all-time favorite hip-hop albums of all time. I love the beats. In my opinion, some of Erick Sermon's beats are founded on this album. Although he did most of the beats, but like only 2 songs he didn't produce, which were Funkorama, which was produced by Redman himself, and that was the single as well. What's the name of the song? The Vibe, which has Crossbreed, who was another Redman affiliate and things of that nature. The thing with this album, what's cool about this is that it's a compilation of people like unsigned artists that was affiliated with Erick Sermon at the time, and it's just giving them exposure to the world and just having them rap over his beats, and they do a great job, you know, still rapping. I mean, they're unknown, but some of them were so good, like you would wish they had albums, you know what I mean? It was that dope. Definitely a must-have in collection. Definitely has that nocturnal feel, just like Double or Nothing. Must have in collection. Then we got Outkast's first album, debut album, Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik, released in 1994. Definitely a must-have in collection if you're an Outkast fan. You know, this album has like that's you know, it's influenced by that 70s funk. You know, definitely they were really into the whole funk era, you know, like the 70s, you know, the Parliament, you know, the Isaac Hayeses, the Curtis Mayfield, you know, they have that vibe to them, you know, paying homage to the whole pimp culture and stuff like that. Singles this album was known for Southernplayalisticadillacmuzik, Players Ball, and Get Up, Get Out, which you see, like, which gives the whole world's exposure to Goody Mob for the first time. You guys know who Goody Mob is. You know, CeeLo's group with CeeLo, Big Gip, and I forgot the other members. And check their albums, Soul Food and Still Standing, which are classic albums. To me, this album and Soul Food put Atlanta in the map as far as hip hop, in my opinion. Definitely a must-have in collection. Their first 4 albums are my favorite albums, but this album and ATL is on my top 2 favorite albums out of the 4 that I like, because when they put out the Speaker Box Love Below, I was not really a fan of that. I didn't like the Idlewild joint that they put out a couple years back. Just was not a big fan of that. You know, that's just my opinion. A lot of people might disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. You know, that's how I feel. And we have Foxy Brown's first album, El Nana, released in 1986. Foxy Brown's the MC from Brooklyn, from the Bed-Stuy area. She got her start back in 1995. She got founded by the Trackmasters, and they liked her so much. I think she was at a talent show, and then like they founded her, and they liked her so much they put her on L. Cool J's album, Mr. Smith, on the song I Shot You remix, and she was the first person that does a song and stuff. No. I think it was the second person. She had like the second verse or whatever. But anyways, her verse on that song got her noticed. You know, it got her noticed to the whole world. Everybody liked her. Like, well, who's this girl? Who's this little girl? Whatever. And then fast forward to 1996, you have this album, Yo Nana. Singles this album was known for Get Me Home, featuring Blackstreet, another dope R&B group, very underrated in my opinion. I'll Be with Jay-Z, and that same year she was also featured on Jay-Z's first album, Reasonable Doubt, on the song Ain't No Nigga. You know, everybody should know that song. pretty classic song. That song was also on the Nutty Professor soundtrack. Definitely, if you're a fan of mid 90s hip hop, if you're a fan of like, hip hop, it was street, but it was a nice mix. It had the street, you had the filler tracks. With the filler tracks when they were using like all the using a lot of 80s samples, like as you can hear in a lot of the early Bad Boy albums and stuff like that. And if you're a fan of Brooklyn hip hop, this is a must-have collection. Again, my opinion, this album and Broken Songs are her best albums in my opinion. China Doll, I wasn't a big fan of. The album right there, she really tried crossing over. I understand what she was trying to do. She was trying to gain more exposure throughout the whole world and stuff like that. She tried tackling down south, and things like that, but it just didn't work for her. It wasn't really that great, you know what I mean? It had like a lot of filler in that album, unlike this album. But this album and Broken Songs definitely a must-have in your collection. This is 099 by Foxy released in 1996. Then we have ICP's or Insane Clown Posse's 4th album, or the 4th Joker card. Excuse me. Yeah. This is their 4th Joker card, released in 1997. Great Milenko. Again, you guys should know who ICP is. If you don't know, go check on Wikipedia, like I said before. This is their 4th installment. By this time, they got signed by Disney Records originally. They got signed by Disney Records that was owned by Disney, but because of the album's content, they were too violent and shit like that, and they got dropped by Disney because of their subject matter that they talk about, and they don't want to tarnish their reputation, which is understandable because they have a reputation to uphold. So they dropped them, and then they got signed to Island Records, or Hollywood Records, I should say, and then they dropped this album. This album is to me like one of their darkest albums in my opinion. Definitely a dope album. It was like the last good album that I liked from them. Has like a more rock influence on the beats, even though a lot of the earlier stuff had a rock influence, but this had like more live instrumentation and it was like more dark in my opinion. Singles this album was known for Halls of Illusion, Hocus Pocus, and How Many Times. This to me is like the last good album that they put out, because after they put out the Amazing Jekyll Brothers and like the other albums, and they started getting into like the whole wrestling ordeal, it was a no-go for me. Again, like I listening to this album now, I can't really get into it. At the time, like I bought this back in like 2000 or 2001. At the time, I was like I was into like the whole horrorcore. I still am, but I like the horrorcore from the 90s, or like the early 2000s, you know what I mean? And I was into the whole horrorcore phase, and guilty pleasure, I guess. But for me, the first 4 albums are my favorites. Definitely must have you if you're a juggalo, or a fan of hardcore hip hop, must have in your collection. Next album, M.O.P's Firing Squad, released in 1996. My favorite album from them, in my opinion. Their first 4 albums are my favorites, but this was released in 1996. This was released 2 years after To The Death album. My opinion, this album, the thing with this album, it was the first time that was overseen and mixed entirely by DJ Premier. Definitely he does like half of the beats on the album. Definitely their darkest album in my opinion. Singles this album was known for is World Famous, which uses the same sample as My Block by Scarface. You guys should know that song, classic song. But they used it first. Dead and Gone, which they both have videos for, and what's the other song? Stick to Your Guns with Kool G Rap. But that was more of an underground single, for the underground DJs and stuff like that. Kool G Rap does his thing on that song. He murders that track, you know what I mean? don't believe me, go type in Stick to Your Guns M.O.P. and you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is Firing Squad, released in 1996 by M.O.P. Must have in your collection. By this time, 1990, M.O.P. they were still underground. You know, they weren't really known to the world. You know, they still were considered underground at that time. It wasn't until they released the Warriors album that they released in 2000, which I reviewed before. This album, you know, like again, like because the Warriors album, you know, they was their breakthrough album. You know, with the songs like Andy Up, Cold as Ice, which gained a mainstream appeal. You understand? So that's why like this album doesn't. I feel like this album, their earlier albums don't really get a lot of recognition, but the real hip hop heads know. But if you're a fan of Primo, Gangstar, like the whole Gangstar Foundation movement, you'll definitely enjoy this album. Must have in your collection. Then we got the last album I'm gonna do for today is M.O.P's First Family for Life, released in 1998, 2 years after Firing Squad. Again, M.O.P. still not known to the world yet, you know. They was kind of breaking out of the underground, but they still had it. They still were underground, but they were still kind of getting a little recognition, but not that much. Singles as I was known for For Alarm Blaze, which I think was the only single on the album. That same year they came out with an EP called Handle Your Business, which is extremely hard to find. I believe it's out of print, but if you find it, don't be hesitant to buy it, because that's a dope album. That's a dope EP. I don't have it in my collection, but I do want it. But anyways, what's interesting about this album is that there's a song called Blood, Sweat and Tears, which was featured on the movie Belly, released in 1998. That song was on the movie, but it wasn't on the soundtrack, which didn't make sense. I wish that was on the soundtrack. It would have been better. But definitely a must-have in your collection. Again, if you're a fan of Gangstar, if you're a fan of rugged, gritty New York hip hop, this is a must-have in your collection. This is M.O.P's First Family for Life, released in 1998. And that's it. Oh, and another thing I want to say, something I forgot about. The dope thing with this album is that there's a book called Check the Technique by Brian Coleman, where he does liner notes, like he covers a couple of classic albums for the 90s and 80s, mostly in the 90s, and like where the artists and like some of the producers talk, they break down track by track, and this album was featured on that book. That's Check the Technique by Brian Coleman. This is a must-have in your collection. If you're a hip-hop head, you would definitely love that book. But that's it, folks. That's it for today. I might do another one. I'm not sure. Just gotta charge my battery. But hope you guys enjoyed the review. Peace.